Lena sat on the edge of the bed, her fingers trembling as they traced the smooth curve of her pregnant belly. She should have been happy, ecstatic even. After years of trying, she and her husband, Mark, were finally expecting their first child. But an unshakable feeling of unease gnawed at her, a whisper of doubt in the back of her mind that had been growing louder over the past few weeks. It started with the oddest things. Items moved ever so slightly in their bedroom, the strange static in the baby monitor, and the creeping sensation of being watched even when she was alone. She had dismissed it at first, blaming pregnancy hormones, but deep down she knew better. And then she found the camera. It was tiny, expertly hidden behind the air vent, positioned perfectly to capture every moment in their bedroom. Lena's heart pounded in her chest as she stared at the blinking red light. Who had put it there? What? And more importantly, how long had it been recording? A pit formed in her stomach as she traced her steps backward in her mind. Mark had always been loving and attentive, but lately he'd been different. More distracted, working late nights, his phone always facing down when he was home. She had wanted to ignore it, to believe in the man she had married, but this camera shattered that trust in an instant. Lena swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm as she pulled a chair under the vent and reached for the camera. It was difficult to remove, but eventually, it came free in her trembling hands. There was an SD card inside. She hesitated, her breath shaky, before grabbing her laptop and inserting the card. As the files loaded, her hands hovered over the keyboard. There were dozens of videos, each marked with a timestamp. Some were recent, recorded just days ago. Others stretched back months. She clicked on the most recent one. At first, everything seemed normal. The footage was of their bedroom from the night before, her sleeping, Mark shifting beside her. But then, at exactly 3:14 a.m., the door creaked open. A dark figure stepped into the room. Lena's breath caught in her throat. The person moved with eerie precision, as if they had done this many times before. They approached the bed, leaning over her as she slept, lingering just inches away. Her stomach twisted in horror. Then the figure turned their head toward the camera, toward her. And in the dim light she saw the face. It was Mark. Lena's world shattered in an instant. Her vision blurred, her pulse roaring in her ears. Mark had been watching her, recording her. But why? What had he been doing while she slept? Shaking, she clicked on another file, an older one from months ago. The same scene played out, Mark sleeping beside her, the door opening at 3:14 a.m. The same figure entered, moved toward her, stood there watching. Lena wanted to scream, but then, the figure turned. And this time it wasn't Mark. It was someone else. Her breath hitched. Who was this person? Why did they keep appearing in every video? And why, after all these nights, had Mark never told her? Tears blurred her vision as a chilling realization crept over her. Mark hadn't been watching her. He had been watching them. Lena's mind raced as she backed away from the laptop, her heart hammering against her ribs. She had to confront him. She had to know the truth. But then the bedroom door creaked open, and Mark stepped inside. Part 2, the confrontation. Lena's breath hitched as Mark stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. The glow of the laptop screen cast eerie shadows across the room, and she quickly shut the lid, her fingers trembling. "Lena," Mark said softly, stepping closer. His voice was calm, too calm. "What are you doing?" She swallowed hard, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "I should be asking you that." His eyes flickered to the laptop, and for the briefest moment she saw something cross his face, something like fear. "I found the camera, Mark," she continued, standing up. "I saw the footage." He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "Lena, listen." "No," she snapped, stepping back. "You were watching me, recording me, and someone else has been in our house, in our bedroom." "Who is it, Mark? Who have you been watching?" Mark's lips pressed into a thin line. He hesitated, then shut the bedroom door behind him. The soft click of the lock sent a fresh wave of panic through Lena's body. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her pulse hammering. He held up his hands. "I need you to stay calm." "Stay calm?" She let out a short, hysterical laugh. "I just watched videos of a stranger standing over me while I slept. And you knew. You did nothing." Mark's jaw clenched. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Because I was trying to protect you." Lena blinked. "Protect me?" Mark inhaled deeply. "I didn't put the camera there, Lena. I found it months ago. And I kept watching because..." He hesitated, his throat bobbing. "Because I don't know who that person is either." Lena's world tilted. "What?" Mark nodded slowly. "I thought I was going crazy. I saw them just like you did. Always at 3:14 a.m. always standing over you. And every time I tried to catch them, they disappeared. I thought if I recorded everything, I could figure out who they were." Lena's legs nearly gave out. She gripped the edge of the bed to steady herself. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mark's face twisted with guilt. "I didn't want to scare you. You're pregnant. I thought, maybe it was just my imagination." Lena's mind whirled. This wasn't just betrayal, it was something much worse. If Mark wasn't behind the camera, then who was? The air felt heavy, suffocating. The house, once a place of safety, suddenly felt like a trap. And then, from down the hall, the baby monitor crackled to life. A faint voice whispered through the static. "Lena?" Mark yanked the curtains shut, his fingers shaking. "We need to go. Now." Lena, gripping her belly, barely managed to nod before another whisper crackled through the baby monitor. "You can't run," she gasped. Mark grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the bedroom door, but just as they reached it, something outside thumped against the wall. A slow, deliberate knock. 1, 2, 3. Lena's breath came in shallow gasps. Mark hesitated, then turned the knob. The hallway was empty, but the front door was wide open. A gust of cold air swept through the house, carrying with it a single whispering echo from the baby monitor. 3:14 a.m., it's almost time. And then something moved in the shadows. The shadows twisted, elongating unnaturally in the dim light. Lena's breath caught as she clutched Mark's arm. "Do you see that?" she whispered. Mark nodded, his grip tightening around her hand. "We have to move. Now." Before they could take another step, the baby monitor flared with static, the whisper turning into something sharper. A voice, low, distorted, inhuman. "Too late." And then the lights went out. Total darkness swallowed the room. Lena felt Mark's grip tighten around her wrist, his breath ragged beside her. The only sound was the baby monitor hissing with static. Then, a whisper. Low, distorted, crawling through the speaker like a spider skittering over glass. "She knows now." Lena's heart slammed against her ribs. She fumbled for her phone, but the screen stayed black, dead. The power was out. Even the streetlights outside had vanished, as if the entire world had been swallowed by shadow. Mark exhaled sharply. "Stay close," he murmured, tugging her toward the doorway. But before they could move, a slow creak filled the air. The closet door. Lena stiffened. It was opening. The darkness inside the closet wasn't normal, it was deeper, heavier, wrong. And then something stepped forward. A shape. A figure. Not Mark. Not human. Lena opened her mouth to scream, but the sound died in her throat. The figure was tall, its form warped as though reality itself refused to define it. Its face, or where a face should have been, shifted in and out of focus. And then it spoke. "Lena." Not through its mouth. Through the baby monitor. A cold wave of terror crashed over her. The creature took a step closer. Then another. Its limbs moved too smoothly, like liquid bending in ways it shouldn't. "Mark," Lena whispered, her voice barely audible. Mark pulled her behind him. "Stay back," he barked at the thing. It didn't stop. Lena's breath hitched as it raised one elongated hand, fingers stretching impossibly long, reaching. And then, the footage. The thought hit her like a bullet. "Mark, the laptop," she gasped. For a second, Mark didn't understand. Then his eyes widened. He lunged for the laptop, flipping it open. The screen glowed to life. The last video was still open, the same footage Lena had watched earlier. The timestamp, 3:14 a.m. And there it was, the figure in the recording standing over her sleeping body. But now something was different. It wasn't just watching. It was smiling. A grotesque, stretched grin that hadn't been there before. Lena's stomach lurched. "That's not possible." The video changed in real time. The figure in the footage slowly turned its head as if aware of them watching. And then it looked up, past the camera, past the screen, right at them. Mark slammed the laptop shut. The room fell silent. Lena's chest rose and fell in uneven breaths. The closet door was still open, but the figure was gone. Mark grabbed her hand. "We need to leave now." She didn't argue. As they sprinted toward the front door, the baby monitor crackled one last time. A voice barely above a whisper. "She's almost ready." And then, the clock struck 3:14 a.m. The clock struck 3:14 a.m. A wave of nausea rolled over Lena as a sudden, crushing pressure filled the house, like the air itself had thickened, forcing its way into her lungs. Mark yanked at the front door. Locked. The windows? Unbreakable. The walls? Closing in. Lena clutched her belly, her pulse a drumbeat of panic. And then, The laptop screen flickered back on. Mark and Lena froze as the video started playing on its own. The same footage. Their bedroom. Their bed. Lena's sleeping form. And then, the figure. But this time it wasn't standing over her. It was bending down, leaning close. Its grotesque grin widening as it whispered something inaudible. And then, it reached into her stomach. Lena's blood ran cold. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe as the figure's long fingers slipped through her skin like water, reaching deep inside, and pulling something out. A shape, small, fragile. Baby. Lena's baby. The figure cradled the infant, holding it up to the camera, showing her, before slowly backing into the shadows. Vanishing. The video ended. Lena collapsed to her knees. No, 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 no. She clutched her belly, frantically pressing against it. She could still feel movement. Hicks. Life. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Mark grabbed the laptop, his hands shaking. This is some kind of sick joke. And then the video restarted. But this time something was different. There was another person in the room, standing in the corner, watching. Lena's breath caught in her throat. It was her. Not in bed. Standing. Awake. Staring at the camera. Mark's voice cracked. Lena? The Lena in the video slowly tilted her head. Then she smiled. The screen went black. The baby monitor crackled. A voice, her voice, whispering back at her. It's almost time. Lena's entire body went numb. The whisper from the baby monitor sent a deep, primal terror through her, a feeling she couldn't explain, but somehow she knew. Something was coming. Mark gripped her shoulders, his breathing erratic. Lena, what the hell is happening? That was you in the video. No, she whispered, shaking her head violently. That's not me. It can't be. But deep inside, doubt gnawed at her. The Lena in the video had been awake, watching, smiling. Mark grabbed her hand. We're leaving. We don't care how. We run. He yanked at the door again. This time it flew open, so easily it sent him stumbling forward. The house beyond it was different. Their street was gone. Instead, an endless corridor stretched out before them, walls pulsing with a dim, unnatural glow. The air smelled wrong, like dust, decay, and something faintly metallic. Lena staggered back, gripping her belly. No, this isn't real. But the baby monitor crackled again. And this time she heard footsteps. Slow, measured, coming from behind them. Lena turned, her breath catching in her throat. A figure stood at the end of the hallway. Tall, watching. But it wasn't the shadow thing from before. It was her. Another Lena. Identical in every way, except for the eyes. The other Lena's eyes were completely black, and she was smiling. Mark's grip on Lena tightened. Lena, we need to run. But the other Lena lifted a single finger to her lips. A shushing motion. Then in Lena's own voice she whispered, Don't fight it. You've done this before. Lena's mind spun. What? Mark yanked her arm, trying to pull her into the corridor. Lena, move. But black-eyed Lena took a step closer. And the walls of the house began to shift. The bedroom peeled away, revealing more endless hallways, each stretching into the darkness. Lena turned back to Mark, but he was gone. Vanished. Just her now. And her other self staring back. The baby monitor crackled again. The voice that came through made Lena's blood turn to ice. It was her own voice, but layered, echoing. A chorus of herself whispering together. Wake up, Lena. It's time to remember. The walls pulsed. The world trembled. And then, she remembered. A flood of images crashed into her mind. Memories she shouldn't have, memories from lifetimes before this one. She had been here before. Many times. She had played this game before. Over and over and over. Lena gasped as the truth ripped through her. This wasn't her first pregnancy. And this wasn't the first time she had lost her baby. The shadowy figure. The whispers. The thing in the closet. It wasn't haunting her. It was waiting for her. And this time, it wanted her to remember. The black-eyed version of herself took another step forward. She extended a hand. Come back, Lena. And Lena knew, if she took that hand, everything would reset. Just like before. But this time, something felt different. This time, she wasn't sure she wanted to forget. Lena stood frozen, her pulse a frantic drumbeat in her ears. The other her, the one with black, endless eyes, extended a hand, waiting. Come back, Lena. A memory stirred inside her, one that wasn't just hers, but belonged to all the other versions of her that had come before. Each time she had reached for that hand, Each time she had forgotten. And each time she had woken up pregnant again, trapped in the same nightmare. Lena's stomach twisted. No, not again. Not this time. Her fingers curled into a fist. The other Lena's face twitched as if sensing her defiance. Her smile stretched, unnatural, splitting too wide, revealing teeth that weren't human. Lena. The voice wasn't soothing anymore. It was commanding. A threat. The walls around her pulsed, shifting and bending like a living thing. The endless hallway yawned open, stretching forever. Lena clenched her jaw. I don't know what you are, she whispered, voice shaking, but you're not me. The black-eyed figure tilted its head. Then it lurched forward. Lena didn't hesitate. She ran. Not toward the open corridor. Not toward the thing waiting for her in the shadows. But back toward the room she knew was hers. The house trembled, the walls warping around her, trying to trap her, redirect her. But Lena forced her way through. She wasn't playing their game anymore. The whispers grew frantic, overlapping. No. She remembers. Stop her. The bedroom door appeared before her, almost too late. The air behind her shifted. Something grabbed at her shoulder. Lena lunged through the door just as a hand, a cold, too long, too thin hand, clawed at her back. She slammed the door shut. Silence. For a moment, all she could hear was her own ragged breathing. Then, the baby monitor crackled one last time. A single word. Run. And this time it was Mark's voice. Lena gasped, spinning around. She was back in her real house. The hallway was normal again. The baby monitor was on the dresser, silent. And the clock? 3:15 a.m. The time had finally moved forward. Mark's voice echoed in her head. Run. Lena grabbed her keys and sprinted for the door, her heart hammering. This time when she turned the knob, it opened. She ran into the night, the cool air slicing through her panic. She didn't stop, didn't turn back. Because she knew. She wasn't supposed to leave. She was supposed to forget. But she didn't. And now, they would come for her. But Lena didn't care. Because for the first time she was free. Or at least, she thought she was. Until she looked down. And saw the faint imprint of fingers pressed into her belly. Like something had already touched the baby. And with a soft, rhythmic beeping filled the air. It was faint at first, blending into the fog of her mind, but as consciousness crept in, the sound grew louder. Beep, beep, beep. The warmth of sunlight pressed against her closed eyelids, and for a moment she felt weightless, floating in the fragile space between dreams and reality. But then she felt it, the ache in her muscles, the heaviness in her chest, the warmth of a hand wrapped around hers. A real hand. With a shaky breath, she opened her eyes. The room was quiet except for the hum of machines. Pale yellow light filtered through the blinds, casting soft streaks across sterile white walls. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic, and the thin hospital sheets felt foreign against her skin. And then she saw him. Sitting beside her bed, head bowed, shoulders slumped. His fingers clutched hers as if afraid to let go. He looked different, older. His once dark hair had strands of gray and deep lines carved his face. He wasn't the man she had left behind in the dream. He was real. And suddenly, everything came rushing back. The house, the cameras, the whispers at 3:14 a.m., the figure standing over her, the little girl, the doors, the truth. A choked sound escaped her throat, and the man's head snapped up. His breath caught. His lips trembled. His wide, disbelieving eyes searched hers as if afraid she would disappear again. And then, in a broken whisper, he said her name. You're awake. Tears blurred her vision. She tried to speak, but her throat was raw, the words tangled beneath a weight of emotions too heavy to carry. He reached forward, brushing trembling fingers over her face, as if afraid she wasn't real. I thought I lost you, he breathed, voice cracking. It's been? He stopped himself, swallowing thickly. But she knew. Years. She had been gone for years. The weight of it settled in her chest, pressing hard against her ribs. The life she had clung to, the pregnancy, the nursery, the baby that had never truly existed, had only been a dream. And yet, her hands instinctively moved to her stomach. Flat, empty, cold. A deep, suffocating grief crashed into her like a tidal wave. The baby was never real. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. How could she grieve something that never existed? How could she miss a child she had never carried? Her husband saw the devastation in her eyes and squeezed her hand tighter. It's okay, he whispered. I'm here. You're here. That's all that matters. But was it? She wanted to believe it. She wanted to embrace this reality, but the ghosts of the past clung to her like shadows. Because deep down, she still felt like something was missing. Days passed, and the world outside her hospital window kept moving. Nurses came and went, checking her vitals, speaking in hushed voices. Her husband never left her side, but the feeling remained. Something was wrong. Then one night, when the hospital halls were silent and the moon hung low in the sky, she heard it. A faint whisper. A child's whisper. "Mommy?" Her breath hitched. She turned her head, staring at the shadows pooling in the corner of the room. Empty. But she felt it, a presence lingering just beyond her reach. Her heart pounded as she clutched the sheets, tears slipping down her cheeks. She had chosen to wake up. She had left the dream behind. She had escaped the past. So why? Why did it still feel like it was following her? The next morning, her husband brought her something wrapped in an old, worn blanket. A small, framed ultrasound picture. Her heart clenched as she traced the edges with trembling fingers. But this wasn't from the dream. It was real. Years ago, before the accident, before the coma, she had been pregnant. But she never made it to the end. The accident had taken everything. Her husband's voice was gentle as he whispered, "I never stopped waiting for you." She squeezed her eyes shut, gripping the picture tightly. Maybe her mind had created the dream to give her a version of what she had lost. Maybe the child in the dream was never just a dream. Maybe she had never truly been alone. And maybe even now she wasn't. That night, as she drifted between sleep and wakefulness, she felt something soft against her cheek, like a small hand. A child's giggle echoed faintly in the dark. And then, a final whisper, "Goodbye, Mommy."